Today on Ask This Old House, I'm going to make a grand entrance in Atlanta, Georgia. Now I'm going to cut the mortise using my trim router.
Tom, it works great. Thanks for coming all the way to Georgia to help us.
And we'll ask, what is it?
I'd like plumbing for 400, Alex.
Plumbing for 400. This is the direction in which you turn something to make it loosey. Richard.
Lefty.
Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't put it in the form of a question. That's next on Ask This Old House. Today, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. The homeowner told me to take Peachtree Street and it would lead me right there. The only problem is there's Peachtree Street everywhere. I just came off of Peachtree Street. Now I'm on Peachtree Street. I just went by Peachtree Place.
Go that way. Take the left and just go straight up. You were looking for just Peachtree?
Yeah.
Pretty sure West Peachtree will hit into it.
I'm all turned around. Hi, Danielle.
Hi, Tom. Thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
Did you have any trouble finding us?
No problem at all.
Good.
But I guess you have a problem. You wrote me about your front door.
Yes, we've lived here for 21 years now. We've really never liked the looks of this door.
It doesn't look like it's in bad shape to me.
Well, no, but it's not the original door, and it doesn't have a lot of character, so we'd like to replace it with another door.
So you have something else in mind?
Yes, we do.
All right, well, let's see it.
Okay, it's out by the garage.
All right.
Here it is.
Oh, it's an oak door. 1.75 inches. That means it's very heavy. It has 3 flat panels that are recessed, 3/4 the height of the door. And the glass is actually, lights of glass are individual panes that are insulated and has a nice soft arch to it. Very nice door.
Thank you, Tom, but I'm a little embarrassed to tell you that we've actually had the door for about 6 years.
6 years. Well, you don't want to rush these things, you know.
Well, it was actually a custom order door, and we've stored it in the garage that entire time.
Okay.
Because we had 2 issues. The first being we weren't sure whether to paint or stain the door.
Okay.
But more importantly, we were afraid of making a mistake installing the door and putting the holes in the wrong place.
Yeah, well, you don't want to put the holes in the wrong place. All right, well, I can help you with one. I can get the door hung in the opening so you don't have to worry about the holes. But as far as the decision on painting or staining, I'm going to leave that one up to you.
Okay.
All right, let's get started.
That'd be great.
Okay. Okay, to get started, I'm going to actually take the door out of the opening by pulling the hinge pins. And I like to start at the bottom and work my way up.
Now, why is that?
Well, if I start at the top and I remove those hinge pins, when I'm working on the bottom, the door could fall out and hit me, and I don't want that to happen.
Oh, that's true.
All right, so I'm going to start right here, knock the pins up. Take the top one out. Okay, that's good. All right, now I'm going to take my pad. I want to move the pad over about where the corner of the door is going to be. Swing the door open. Get it on the pad. Now I'm going to tip the door onto my shoulder and carry it to the garage.
Okay, great.
And I'll check the width. All right, so that's 36 inches. So what you have here is a 3070 door, which means it's 3 feet wide, 7 feet tall.
Okay.
So now I want to check the measurements of the existing doors to see if they match. The width is fine, 3 feet wide. Now I want to check the height. I'm going to measure on the hinge side first. And this door is actually cut an inch shorter, so it's 6'11" on the hinge side. But now I have to check it on the knob side. This is actually, it's even shorter. 6'10" and 13/16. So this door was cut to fit the opening.
Okay.
What we need to do is cut this door to match the height and angle of our old door.
Okay,
right.
great.
I'll clamp my straight edge to the door where I'm going to make my cut. Before I cut the door with my saw, I want to score it with my utility knife, so when I cut it with the saw, I won't chip the wood. Okay, now I want to make this edge right here even with our new door, and also I want the top even too.
Okay.
How's that? Yeah, you gotta make it really even. Right there. Okay, so they're even here.
Okay.
And even here, all the way down. Now I want to transfer the location of our hinges to our new door and use my combination square, and I'll mark the bottom of the hinge, the top of the hinge, and the hinge. And to do the next one. Top, bottom, hinge. Now the bottom one. At the top, the bottom, and the hinge. Okay, now you picked out new hardware, and the hinges are the exact same size of what the old ones were, 4 by 4. Next thing I have to do is I have to locate the hinge on the door from the face of the door. To do that, I'm going to take the door and slide it out, take my combination square, slide it down, holding the combination square against the face of the door, slide it down till I meet just the edge of the hinge right there. Make it even, tighten it up, and transfer that mark on the door. All right, now we're ready to mortise the door to inset the hinges. And I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do it. The first way is the way I learned when I was a kid. The first thing I need to do is position the hinge over the lines, and then I'm going to score the door with my knife so I have a nice crisp line. Okay, now I'm going to take my chisel. I'm going to go right on that line that I did with my utility knife. And I'm going to knock the chisel right in about the depth of the thickness of the hinge. Move over. And I'm going to go right down the whole space, spacing my chisel apart about 3/8 of an inch. All right, I chiseled around the perimeter of the outside of the hinge. I also made a series of notches about 3/8 of an inch apart and down about the thickness of the hinge. Now the reason I put those notches in there so that when I chisel out the wood won't splinter and I won't take out a big piece. I also want to make sure that I hold my chisel in the right orientation. I don't want to hold it like this and chisel in the wood because it could go down. What I want to do is I want to skim off the top. So I'm going to turn my chisel over and gradually work my way down.
So you need to be really careful when you're doing this not to go too deep.
Yeah, you don't want to go too deep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this out right now, and I'm going to check it, see how we're doing. Yeah, pretty good. I'm going to show you a different way to cut the mortises for the other 2 hinges using this templating gauge right here. Now what I did is I cut an opening in a scrap piece of wood the same size as the hinge itself. On the back side, I positioned a piece of wood so that I can clamp the gauge to the door. I also have this space right here, which is the correct amount of space that I need from the edge of the hinge to the face of the door to hold the hinge back. Now I'm going to place it on the door and lining up my gauge with the lines, I'm going to clamp it to the door. All right, I want to clamp it tight to the door, making sure I'm positioned correctly. Okay, now to make the cut, I'm going to use this trim router right here with a templating bit. Now the templating bit actually has 2 parts, a ball bearing right here that will run along my jig, and the bit itself is the same diameter as the ball bearing. Now I've set the depth of the bit to allow for the thickness of the hinge plus the thickness of the jig. And now I'll cut it. All right.
Wow, that's a lot faster than doing it by hand.
It is, but we have one little piece of handwork to do. Because the bit is round, I have to square up these 2 corners. To do that, I'm going to use my chisel. It's really important to pre-drill for the screw. They'll actually hold better, less chance of breaking the screw and splitting the wood. Taking all the old hinges off, and now I'm ready to replace it with half of the new hinge that was on the door.
Okay.
All right, Danielle, guide me in there.
Okay, Tom, come on back. Come on back. Okay, you're almost at the threshold. Step over the threshold.
Okay, now I'm going to put the corner of the door on that pad.
All right.
And I want you to put the pin in when I line it up.
Okay,
You ready?
I'm ready.
Let me get it over there. There's a heavy door. Okay. There you go. Tap it down with the hammer just a little. Okay, good. Okay, now I'm going to push the other ones in place. Give it a shot. Tap it in. There you go. Okay, now we'll do the bottom one. Okay, that's good. All right, now I want to check the space right down the side jamb here. And it looks pretty consistent. All right, here, I got a little bit right here I can plane off. Let me get my block plane. I'll take a little off. Other than that, it looks pretty good. All right, let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, we're ready to install the lock set.
Okay, great.
All right, I marked the height on the door. We have to drill a hole for your striker and your deadbolt. All right, now I also have to establish the distance from the edge of the door to the center of the hole where we need to drill, and that's called a back set. The most common is 2 3/4 and 2 3/8. So from the edge of the door to the center of the hole that we need to drill, yours is 2 3/8. Now I want to make sure I drill that hole straight through the door. To do that, I'm going to use this jig right here. Now this is universal. I can adjust this for 2 3/8 or 2 3/4. I've adjusted it for 2 3/8.
What's the other hole for?
The other hole is set for the edge of the door where we have to drill a hole to insert the striker. And I've set that for 1 3/4 because that's the thickness of your door. Next thing I want to do is I want to clamp this jig to the door, and I want to line my lines up with the center right here of this arrow. Okay, now we're ready to clamp it on the door and drill a hole.
Great.
Okay, now I'm going to stop right here because I don't want to drill all the way through the door. I'm going to drill it from the other side so we don't damage the wood. Now I need to cut a shallow mortise for our deadbolt and our striker. Put it in place, hold it into position, and I'll mark it with my pencil, and I'll cut it with my chisel. All right, now we'll check it. All right, deadbolt's good. Striker's good. All right, Danielle, give it a try.
Tom, it works great. And it looks fantastic. I can't believe we waited this long to put the door in.
Well, tell me one thing. Have you decided to paint it or stain it?
Well, the jury's still out on that.
The jury's still out on that? Well, promise me you won't wait 6 years to do it.
I promise, Tom, and thanks for coming all the way to Georgia to help us.
No problem. That's what we do. All All right, guys, here we go. It's actually two parts. Here's the base with a little switch and a red and a green light with a little fan. And the second part is a tower. Now, the towers can extend up or down, but the giveaway is right here. This black is a switch that turns on two lights. What is it?
Two-part? What is it? I can handle this, boys.
You got it?
Oh, yeah. This is an at-home metal detector.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, how many times have you gone to the airport, you've gotten to the security line, only to find out you've left something metal in your pockets, right?
There's always something.
Exactly. So in the morning when I'm getting dressed, before I put anything in my pockets, I always run it through this. For example, I never know if my lipstick container is made out of plastic or metal. See? Metal.
Nice color on you.
Oh, it's my favorite. I hate to leave that at home. But some things aren't metal. They just go right through, and I can just put those right in my pocket. And how many times does this happen to you guys? Right? Right? You lose your shears at the metal detector. Exactly. Saves you the hassle.
No, this is actually designed to allow you to play at home with a very popular TV game show.
Really?
The questions are never a problem. It's always buzzing in time. So this connects right back to the TV show right there.
This goes all the way to Hollywood.
It does. Its cord goes right through Cleveland, up over the Great Lakes.
All right, let's play.
All right. I'd like plumbing for 400, Alex.
Plumbing for 400. This is the direction in which you turn something to make it loosey. Richard.
Lefty.
Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't put it in the form of a question. Roger.
What is righty, Alex?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're an idiot. Lucy.
Lefty Lucy.
Right. You guys are all idiots. Not even close. This is actually for deodorizing your shoes.
Oh, boy.
All right? Now, the tower extends for different size shoes. The light is actually a UV light that will deodorize the shoe within about an hour. So
Yeah,
if you take
try
the
that
shoe,
for size.
you need an awful bright light. Put that on there, and in about an hour, your shoe won't stink like it does.
You guys want to play again?
Sure.
What is sneaking up the room?
Roger's shoe.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What is Roger's shoe?
There you go.
I got it right again.
It is bad.
What are you working on there, Roger?
Well, Kevin, whenever I build a timber wall, I want to make sure that the base timber is secure to the ground. So I have a 6x6 here. I drilled holes in it. In the holes, I put a 4-foot piece of half-inch rebar.
Right.
And I'm now going to drive that down into the ground.
And we've actually seen you do this on a couple projects recently, and it turns out people were watching, and now they are writing, because we got a bunch of tips on maybe a better way to do this.
Yeah, let me show you how I usually do it. If you grab that, hold on, and just keep it steady for me. Makes a huge difference for me up here to be able to drive it down through.
Right, but down here, I'm actually feeling a ton of vibration coming from the rod to my hand. That doesn't feel so good. And also, if you miss, not that you would, but if you miss, I lose my hand. And so we actually got our first tip from Don in Missouri.
Right, and he told us to get a piece of 3/4-inch PVC pipe, slide it down over the re-rod. Now you can hold that. It's going to steady the re-rod and take some of the vibration out of that piece of re-rod.
So I don't feel a thing. Right? Seriously, there's no vibration coming through this PVC pipe at all.
Well, we'll get down to the height of that, then we'll remove it and finish driving the rebar in.
So no vibration, but I am still in the strike zone. Okay, and that's where our second tip comes in. It was actually sent to us by Norton in Texas, and he's got a way to knock down the vibration and to keep me safe.
Right, he said take a scrap piece of wood like this piece of 2x4, drill a 3/4-inch hole in it. We'll set the re-rod in a hole in the timber, slide this over the top. Now you can hold that any way you want for me.
I've got full control right here.
You good?
Yep. So I'm not feeling anything, no vibration.
And you're safe.
Right. It's pretty good, Roger. So no vibration, and I am out of the strike zone perfectly safe.
But it still requires an extra pair of hands. That's why I love the next tip so much.
And it comes to us from Ronnie in Alabama, and it involves a hammer gun.
Right, and he has us just take this half-inch re-rod and slide it into the chuck of the hammer drill, put it in the hammer drive, and slide it in the hole.
Yep.
And we're ready to go. Now, I'd still have to use a sledgehammer to finish that off, but the hammer drill sure makes short work of the job.
Boy, it sure did. And those are 3 good tips. So Don, Norton, and Ronnie, for sending them in, we are going to send you each an Ask This Old House t-shirt. If you've got a tip for us or a question about your house, we'd love to hear from you. So until next time, I'm Kevin O'Connor.
And I'm Roger Cook.
For Ask This Old House. I like that one the best.
Me too. Really works well.
Next time on Ask This Old House. Today, we are working on a big electrical project. Now, a lot of homeowners might have to upgrade their electrical service. So we sent out our electrician, Scott Karen, to help a homeowner with just that.
Nice job.
Now I'm going to show you some beautiful plants to attract beautiful butterflies to your garden.
There's so much to love about butterflies. They're the kind of wildlife that lets you get up close and